All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. What happened in the NFL in Week 6 with the Niners sitting it out? We'll talk about it next. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Also, we're brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264 for all your sports cards and collectible needs. Man, this was a fun day. Fun day to, take a deep breath, not have to cover 49er football, get a chance to sit on the couch, watch some NFL, be a normal person. Hit a couple bets today. It was felt pretty good. Had Green Bay in the morning. Took a little Chargers, Raiders in the afternoon. A little Bengals in the evening. So I'm feeling good. Let's talk about what happened though this week in the NFL, because there were some really good games and some outstanding action. One, the Houston Texans are 5-1, and I thought they looked really good. They rolled the Patriots in Foxborough by 20, 41-21. C.J. Stroud had 3 touchdowns. Mixon ran for 100 yards and a touchdown. Diggs had another big day. He got in the end zone. We got our first look at Drake May, extended look, 20 of 33 for May for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. He looked okay. He looked all right. I mean, he made some plays. Will Anderson had a big day defensively, 3 sacks, 8 tackles. Houston's only loss this year is to the undefeated Vikings. Houston looks good. They're my pick to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC this year. They're going to take on Green Bay at Lambeau next week, and we're going to find out more about the Texans. But, yeah, C.J. Stroud, that defense, D'Amico, they're well coached. They're balanced. They got a lot of offensive weapons. Offensive line's good enough. Defense is really good on all 3 levels. If the Texans can stay healthy, they're, in my opinion, the best team in the AFC. We'll see. We'll see how things go for Kansas City. The Bears were the surprise of Week 6, I thought. The fact that the Bears crushed the Jaguars. On paper, you would have thought young Bears in London going up against a Jaguar team that regularly plays in London and is used to going over there. You would have thought advantage Jaguars. But, man, the Jaguars are bad. Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson got the Shad Khan, the curse of the vote of confidence, which almost guarantees that those guys are going to be out. Caleb Williams, though, 4 touchdown passes in this game. He was fantastic. The Bears ran it with DeAndre Swift. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown. Chicago averaged 5.2 a carry in this game. So Jalen Jones, or Jalen Johnson, I should say, in this game had 10 tackles, 9 of them solo. So, this is a Bears team that, is a little bit ahead of schedule. But that's a great performance from Caleb. Good to see him playing that well. Chicago's off to a 4-2 start. As I said, I took Green Bay against the Cardinals at Lambeau. Green Bay looks really good. Jordan Love threw 4 touchdowns today. 2 to Romeo Doubs, who's now back from suspension. 1 went to Jaden Reed, who's got phenomenal hands. 1 went up top to Christian Watson. Green Bay had 437 total yards. They were +2 in turnovers. Quay Walker had 11 tackles. Green Bay they're looking really, really good. Arizona, on the other hand, had 13 penalties. Green Bay outrushed Arizona 179-89. So, Cardinals were riding high. They got a nice win over the 49ers. Green Bay, I'm sure they looked at that film and said, you know what, we can't lose to this Cardinal team at home. Green Bay's good. They really are. And now that Dobbs is back, they're even better. To me, if there was a team that was like, whoa, made you kind of take notice in Week 6, it's Tampa Bay. Wow, Tampa Bay is hot. And they beat the Saints in the Dome. And they put up 51-27 Buccaneers. Amazing. Baker Mayfield, have yourself a day. He had three touchdowns, He also threw for 335 yards, or I should say he had 3 turnovers, but also threw for 335 yards and 4 touchdowns. And the Tampa fans, of course, needed this badly because of the hurricane and the flooding and all the things that have gone on there this week. They just need any good news at all. So at least they got their team to get a win on Sunday. I mean, Sean Tucker, the running back, 14 carries for 136 yards and a touchdown. He also caught 3 balls for over 50 yards and a touchdown. So 2 touchdowns for Tucker. Chris Godwin was monster in this game. 11 for 125 and 2 touchdowns. Tampa Bay's defense showed up. 5 sacks, 10 hits on the quarterback, 5 TFLs, 2 picks. Tampa Bay absolutely dominated this game. 594 yards of offense for Tampa Bay. 594. That is fat. So Tampa's 4-2. Saints are 2-4. I'm a little surprised that this Saints defense that at times has looked really good gave up 51 at home, but Tampa's got it going offensively right now. They're kind of a scary team because they've got some pretty good defensive players too. Antoine Winfield, Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey. I mean, they've got some good players on that side of the ball. If they can be this electric, awesome, explosive offense, the Buccaneers are going to be a tough team to beat in the playoffs. The other game I thought was a pretty good game I kept an eye on this morning was Ravens beating the Commanders in the Battle of the Beltway, 30-23. Mark Andrews got his first touchdown of the year. Derrick Henry had a couple touchdowns. He also had over 130 yards on the ground. 3 field goals for Justin Tucker. Baltimore had 484 total yards in this game, and they ran for 176. So that was it right there. Baltimore ran it up and down the field. They held the ball for over 36 minutes. Washington averaged 2.9 yards per carry. No Brian Robinson, no run game for the Commanders. Simple as that. Robinson was out. They had they had nobody else they could go to. Zay Flowers caught 9 balls for 132 yards, all in the first half. Baltimore looked really good. They went for 4.8 a carry. Lamar was 20 of 26 for 323 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. So Baltimore rolls to 4-2. Commanders dropped to 4-2. And somebody had to slow down the Commanders, and I guess it was going to be the Ravens. Probably the weird story of Week 6 is that the Eagles got a win, and Sirianni was challenging the fans. They booed him all during the game, and he was at the end of the game, he was kind of hey, can you, I can't hear you. I mean, it seems like Nick Sirianni's run in Philly is going to reach an end really, really soon. Anytime you start ripping the fans, you're on a day-to-day basis. I don't think he finishes the year. You can't go at the fans. What are you going to incite a riot going at the fans? So the Eagles did get the win. They are 3-2. They beat the Browns. How bad is the Browns offense, by the way? Oh my God, the Browns were horrible. They went 3 of 13 on third down conversions. But the fans at the Link were chanting, "Fire Nick Sirianni" in the first half. Philly also in this game lost Dallas Goedert to a hamstring, Jordan Mailata to a hamstring, and Darius Slay to a knee injury. So the Eagles get a win, but their fans want the coach fired, and they had 3 really costly injuries. So it looks like it seems like once the negativity gets overwhelming in a city like Philly, it's like you're done. You're basically done. Couple of the games, Colts beat the Titans in Nashville, 2017. Joe Flacco, you know what? Joe Flacco can still play. He had 2 touchdown passes. Tennessee had been averaging 95 yards, or I should say Tennessee only had 95 yards passing in this game. They did average 5.2 yards per carry, but in Indy only averaged 2.9 yards per carry, and yet Indy won the game. Why? Because Tennessee had 11 penalties. You can't make those kinds of mistakes. 11 penalties for 113 penalty yards. So, and by the way, Trey Sermon, the ex-Niner, played in this game for Indy. He had 18 carries for 20 yards, 1.6 a carry. 1.6 a carry for Trey Sermon. Julian Blackmon had a pick. Colts get the win on the road, though, over the Titans. Chargers also crushed the Broncos in Denver. Justin Herbert is back. Kamani Vidal had a touchdown in that game. J.K. Dobbins had a touchdown. Bo Nix struggled, with that Charger defense. Chargers have a good defense with the new defensive coordinator that came with Harbaugh from Michigan, Minter. That Charger defense, Nick Bosa was not even active today, and Bo Nix really struggled against that Charger defense. So that was impressive. That Charger defense is really underrated. Now that Herbert's back, it'll be interesting to see how good the Chargers can be. And then the Lions. Oh my God, the Lions just crushed the Cowboys. I got to think the Mike McCarthy era is coming to an end in Dallas. Laporta got a touchdown. Montgomery had 2. Jameson Williams had a touchdown. Detroit just ran it down Dallas's throat. It was unbelievable. They just went at him. Aleem McNeil had a couple sacks. Brian Branch is an awesome player. He had some big plays. He had an interception in this game. I think he had a fumble recovery. And the Lions just took it to the Cowboys in the Cowboys' backyard in Dallas. So good win for the Lions. And then the Sunday night game, Bengals did not look good. Bengals have not looked good. Joe Burrow got it done. He had an amazing touchdown run. But, this is the New York Giants with no Devin Singletary. You got no Malik Neighbors. So, Neighbors is their entire offense. Singletary is the rest of their offense. And still the Giants hung with the Bengals. The Bengals don't look like this. I thought maybe the Bengals were going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. I don't think so. I know they got the win, and that good for them. And, it's a long way to go, and they could potentially still make the playoffs. And if they do, Joe Burrow's really good. And Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, you got premier receivers there. Some speed in the secondary, and some, Hendrickson's a monster up front. But the Bengals just have not looked good. And then, by the way, I watched a lot today of Steelers Raiders on the red zone, and then some of the I actually flipped over and started watching that game exclusively. And the Steelers got the win. They're way better than the Raiders. The Raiders had no Devontae Adams, no Jacoby Myers. They were going with Aiden O'Connell. They're just they're really hurting, and the Raiders are just not a very good team. And, it's like Devontae wants out, but are they going to trade him? Are they not? The whole thing's become a distraction. The Steelers had so many fans in Vegas. It was like a Steeler home game. It was like every time the Steelers did anything, it was just the eruption of noise from their fans. So Vegas is, for some of these iconic teams like the Niners, the Steelers, the Patriots, when you go there, it's like all your fans are like, hey, let's go there. We'll meet up in Vegas, and becomes a gigantic advantage for the road team. But Justin Fields is awful. His feel is just not there. He doesn't see the field. He's not accurate. He doesn't make good decisions. He loses track of where the line of scrimmage is when he starts to run. Then he wants to throw, and then he realizes, I already went over the line of scrimmage. His feel in the passing game is so not there that his clock in the passing game is so slow. This guy has 4.4 flat speed, and yet he takes sacks because everything's slow. He just doesn't, even when there's lanes there, he waits. He made so many bad plays in that game. And the Raiders still found a way to lose to Fields. And, if you're Russell Wilson and you're watching this, it's like, I'm not saying that Russell should be playing, but Russell's got a Super Bowl ring. And he's watching Justin Fields play the quarterback position pretty poorly. And yet Russell doesn't get any love at all. So I'm kind of wondering, the trade deadline's 3 weeks away. Maybe the Dolphins will pull the trigger for Justin Fields. The other team to watch here in the next couple of weeks, I think, is going to be the Rams. Do they trade Matthew Stafford? Do they trade Tutu Atwell? Do the Rams, who are having a rough year, kind of look to the future and turn the page? That's going to be an interesting team to watch. And then, of course, Monday night, we get Jets and Bills, and I like the Bills to win that game and maybe win it big. Though teams that get a new head coach, even an interim new head coach, seemingly play harder Seemingly they get some bounce back effect, but I just think the Bills will thoroughly outclass the Jets in that one. But overall, fun week on the couch. I would say the big winners today, the Chargers really without without Joey Bosa looked really, really good against the Broncos, but it's a young quarterback. To me, the story of this week are a couple things. Nick Sirianni's probably going to be out in Philly, it sounds like. Tampa Bay's offense is really cooking right now. The Bears are starting to be kind of scary because their defense is good and Caleb's starting to come on. The Packers, I think, are going to be a major contender. Just looking at their young receivers and that defense that they have. And then the Houston Texans, it was the Patriots, but the Texans are a very complete football team with Stroud and Mixon and Diggs and Tank Dell and Nico Collins and some good offensive tackles and some, really good players on all three levels of their defense. You got D'Amico Ryans coordinating the whole thing. I can't wait for next week to see Houston. To me, there's two games next week I got to see. Niners Chiefs at Levi's and Houston Vikings. The Texans and Houston Green Bay. Houston and Green Bay is going to be a hell of a game. Niners and Chiefs is going to be an incredible game. It would not surprise me at all if that's the Final Four. Niners and Green Bay, the two best teams in the NFC. Houston and Kansas City, the two best teams in the AFC. If you said to me, who are the best four teams in pro football, I think they're going head-to-head next weekend. Houston against Green Bay, Niners against Kansas City. I think those are the four best teams in the game right now. Obviously, a lot of people say, what about the Vikings? They're undefeated. Okay, I'll throw the Vikings in there too, but I'm looking more at the rosters and kind of the bigger picture. I like the talent on KC, Houston, Green Bay, and the 49ers a little bit better than the Viking talent on both sides of the ball. But you're right, the Vikings right now off to an incredible start. All right, that does it for the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being a title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.